I am going to show you how I have lived my dream life for the last 15 years without a side hustle, without having to start a business, and not going into debt. This is my dream life. This is their dream life. What does your dream life look like? My promise to you is that if you stick to the end of this video, I'm going to show you how to figure out what your dream life is by following this 6-step plan. First, if you're new here, my name is Tyler. I am the Wizard of Ask a Wizard. I've garnered 450,000 followers. I am a certified Ericksonian hypnotherapist. I help people gain clarity and shatter limiting beliefs so they can live happier, fuller, more meaningful lives. Let's get started. Step 1, shout out to my boy Tim Ferriss. This is how Tim Ferriss in the 4-Hour Workweek taught me to dream better with a 4-step process. All right, here's the 4-step formula. By the way, all the digital resources you see here, they just kind of calculate and do all the math for you, are available inside of my Discord community. But you can do it yourself with just a pen and paper. In fact, that's what I did back when I was 17 years old. This is the actual one I did. So let's do a simple thought experiment. If you had all the money, time, and resources in the world, what would you want to have, like physically buy? What would you want to do with your time? What would you want to be? And what would you want to learn? And then shrink that down. And as you step into that identity now, what would that look like over the next 3 months? And you're just simply going to fill those things in. Here's some samples for you. And don't worry about the money that comes later. Just put down what you'd like to do for now. What's likely to happen throughout this process is you're going to find that even getting 3 things for each category is a huge challenge, because the difference between a dream that would have been and will be is definition. And what you're beginning to do right now is define your dream. Well, hold yourself there, partner. If self-knowledge was that easy, we could just end the video here. But we got to figure out why you want what you want. Because every day clients are coming to me and I'm having the same conversation. And it looks a little something like this. So if I waved a magic wand and you had your dream life, what would that look like? I'd be enough. And when you're enough, what does that look like? Being financially independent. And when you're financially independent, what does that do for you? I can do what I want. And when you get to do what you want, what do? And that's actually a good thing. That's a hypnotic process. We're getting to the unconscious drivers. Luckily for you, hypnotists are nerds, and we figured this out a long time ago. And we have all 16 of the core motivations, and I'm just going to give them to you right now. So these are the 16 motivations based on the proven Rice motivation model. There, now you can see them all. So these represent the core underlying motivations behind the things that you desire. Now, certain ones will resonate with you more than others, and they're also state dependent. For example, if you're starving, your motivation for eating goes way up. But each person typically has anywhere from 1 to 5 major motivators that drive them for the vast majority of their decisions. So what you want to do is simply dig into your dreams with that questioning that I was showing you before until you hit one of these 16 core motivations, because oftentimes what you think that you want is far from what you truly want, because it's hidden beneath abstractions, which is why the next step is crucial. This is how I have figured out what I want and hundreds of my clients want by using hypnosis. So earlier you mapped out your dream life, and so now what you want to do is dig into each of those dreams and figure out which of the core motivators line up with it. So for example, I wanted to go to Montana for independence. I like living in Vegas for the social contact. But what's interesting is that each and every one of these will be different for the individual person. For example, some people might go to Michelin star meals because they're motivated by status. Others might be motivated by eating just delicious food. Me personally, I'm motivated by curiosity. I like to cook, so I want to see what the best are doing and then take that home and replicate it at home. And what this is going to do is get you the core motivations behind all of your dreams, which leads us to the magic question that's going to get you the dream life you want, not the one other people pitched you. Wait a minute, if you haven't finished that last step, go there first. Because at this point, you should know what your dream is and the core motivation underneath it. Because this one magic question is going to unlock what you truly desire. Now that you know what your core motivation is behind your dream, you simply ask yourself, is there an easier, better, more fun way so I can get all the independence of going to Montana in a better way? And then just sit there and reflect on it. Because you might notice independence can be found by going out into the middle of Montana like I did, but I also could get independence by buying a nice RV or putting a bunch of money in an emergency fund. So there's different ways I could go about achieving independence other than just simply going to Montana. And in doing this process, you begin to learn the best way, the most fun way, and the easiest way to start getting everything you dream of and more. Because what you'll come to find from this experiment is your dreams are not your dreams. You were sold other people's dreams, and you've adopted them as your own. And believe it or not, this Costco pizza has a lot to teach you about it. Basically, you're sitting here in deprivation with one of these 16 motivations. The easiest one to understand is eating. Have you ever been really hungry and you look at like a whole pizza and say, oh man, I could eat a whole pizza right now? And then you get home and you eat 2 slices and then you're sickly full? That's likely you with pretty much all of your dreams. And that's what's going on here when people are pitching you these dreams. When you feel like you don't have enough status, you're drawn to making $100 million by age 32. And so once you actually fulfill those desires, you discover that those illusions turn into things that will actually make you happy. So, coming full circle here, you want to go back to your have, do, be, and learn, and update your dreams to reflect your actual dreams. Woo! We did it! We know our dream life. Let's take all of our money and just cash it out and go do that, right? Wrong. Because if you don't take care of your day-to-day life, you will go and do one dream life for 3 months, go into crippling debt, and live on hell on earth. So instead, I'm going to show you how I put Aristotle's system for personal growth on autopilot. So the next step is you're going to just scroll down to the Thrive section. You might notice this looks a lot like the dream categories, but a little bit different. What you're going to do here is write down habits that you want to either develop or maintain that are going to help you do better now and compound into the future based on 4 key categories: health, wealth, relationships, and spirituality. That might look a little something like this. And again, don't worry about the numbers. I'll show you what to do with those later. So here we want to select habits that will make our lives happier and continue to maintain our health, our wealth, relationships, and spirituality into the future so that our day-to-day life is happy as we have those peak experiences that we planned out in our dream life. Now, the key here is make sure you pick habits that are easy and fun that you will enjoy, because then you'll actually do them. Now, if you'd like a comprehensive list of really good habits that can make your life better, I highly recommend hopping into our Discord and checking out our happiness course, where I list out 20 or so habits that can completely change your life in these major categories. Now, the key is to make these habits effortless and fun, because less than what is hard is more than enough over a long enough period of time. But all of this is meaningless if you go broke, can't feed yourself, and die, which is why the next step is crucial. If you master just this one skill, you're going to unlock unlimited happiness for the rest of your life. This is the Stoic formula for unlimited happiness. If you can make what you need plus what makes you happy cost less than what you have achieved happiness. So this brings us down to the survival column, and this is where you're going to put in everything that you need to survive. Your rent, your utilities, your food, your transportation, debt, other essentials, anything that you need to stay alive. So the Stoic principle is simply, if I can make what I need to survive and what I need to thrive be less than what I make, then I will have enough to be happy. And you can play with different mechanics to find things that make you happy, that don't cost much money. You can try to find ways to budget and lower your cost of living. But the big payoff is when enough is less than what you already have. That's happiness. Which inevitably leads into the next step. How do we do all of this without going broke? This is how I live my dream life for 1/5 the price every year. It's called the Pareto and the sampling method. So what this Christian monk discovered is that 20% of pea pods produce 80% of peas, which for some weird magical reason seems to be a rule that applies to literally everything in the universe, which means 20% of the things you do produce 80% of your happiness. But before we get to that, it's important to understand the sampling technique. My independence kicked in and I wanted to just move out into the middle of Montana, buy a homestead, grow my own food, and have the time of my life. To do that would mean selling everything, putting down a down payment, and getting myself a loan for $250,000. But instead, I applied the sampling technique and just rented a room in Montana, which actually saved me $1,600 a month to see if I even liked the experience. I then used those savings to rent a homestead for a month and see if I liked it. Turns out I don't. It was a living hell. By applying the sampling method, I saved money to save myself from making a huge financial mistake. At this point, you will now have dreams that are actually your dreams, and you're going to go through those and figure out, is there a way I can sample these before I commit? Now with that finalized list, we want to apply the Pareto principle, and we want to ask ourselves for each category of have, do, learn, and be, is there one in each of these categories that would produce the most amount of happiness for me? In effect, reducing your total cost by a fifth by isolating the most important things to you right now in the next 3 months. You see, when every option is exclusively everything you want, more is less than less. Which brings me to the next step. This is how a budget set me free to live my dream life. Shout out to my boy Dave Ramsey. We're going to go through and calculate each of the cost for each activities. Now, sometimes the activities might be ongoing things. For example, if you wanted to invest, say, 20% of your income into investing, or if you wanted to get a fancy gym membership. But others might not cost anything at all. Making your vegetables seasonal doesn't really change the price. You can still have the same grocery budget that you would have. Maybe you're going to do like a one-time event, like Halloween Horror Nights. That's not an ongoing cost. It's pretty simple. You're just going to have to do a little math at home. Don't worry. So if it costs $750 and you have a 3-month plan, you just divide it by 3. So we're going to go through and Pareto our dream life. Like maybe I'm going to do Halloween Horror Nights, Carl Jung, and so on and so forth. And by the way, you don't have to Pareto these. It just costs more money sometimes. So like I could go do chess and I can play Magic the Gathering. There's no reason I can't do both. So you don't have to Pareto them. That's just a tool for lowering the overall cost if you'd like to. And so once you've calculated the cost for all of these and the cost of your thrive and the cost of your survive, you total them up and you get your filthy rich number. This is the number that you need to live your dream life exactly how you want to live it. Now you just put over your starting income over here, and now you know what the gap is between you and your literal dream life. And what many of you will discover is that you're actually already making more money than you need to live your dream life. You're just spending it on random stuff that you don't even care about. Now, what I personally like to do is add in a buffer multiplier. This is basically how risky you'd like to live your life. So what this means is, obviously, you could go and slice and dice this, and it could get pretty complicated with the numbers, right? What I say is, screw all that. Let's just put in the good guesstimates, the research that we can do to get the best estimate on the amounts, and then I'm just going to slap 10% onto the total, and that's going to account for any mistakes. If you want to go really conservative, throw in a 20%er. And so that just bumps it up and that makes sure that you have extra afterwards. And so when you're done, what you literally have is a budget to live your dream life exactly the way you want to live it. You know exactly what you need to survive. You know exactly what you need to be happy now and into the future. And you're even going to live your dream life. And it's almost always wildly less expensive than you thought it was going to be. And at this point, you're probably going, but Tyler, there's something clearly missing. And you're right. How are we going to make the money to do all of this? What you might have noticed is we've been covering a lot of groundwork before we got to anything like what these guys are talking about, right? How are we going to make the money? And you've probably seen every single one of these little guys, right? You've been told what you got to do is you got to do a Shopify side hustle. You got to be an affiliate marketer. You got to do day trading. It's the only way. Gamble on the stock market, guys. Oh, cryptocurrency. It's the only way. All of this side hustle nonsense. What's being left out is each of those is a full-time job that requires you to put in around 80 to 100 hours a week for the next 5 to 10 years to make what you would at basically any normal corporate job. And in many cases, they're straight out gambles that could just lose you all of your money. But here's the good news. Unless you want to live a life like this and your dream life that you just mapped out happens to align with these guys, you don't have to do anything like that at all. Alex Hormozi wants to make a $100 million company. That's why he works really, really hard. Unless you want to do that too, you don't have to. You're probably better off with what I call your philosopher's stone. So this process is really simple. Basically, you just want to pick a skill that you enjoy doing. Now, ideally, I'd recommend picking a skill that involves either making people money or saving people money, because if you do, you're going to make a lot more money faster, easier, and quicker. However, you don't have to do that. You can master pretty much anything. And if you just get really, really good at it over a long enough period of time, you will achieve what I call the philosopher's stone. And there's some rare exceptions to that, but pretty much any skill, if you add in the second part here, which is complementary skills, you can make it work. Maybe you're just really passionate about sushi. You can just get really, really good at sushi and make a lot of money, not working very long hours, doing what you love. So that's the first step. Pick a skill, ideally one that makes or saves people money, and then just get really, really good at it. Luckily, all the resources you need to get good at any skill are free on YouTube, literally. And then what you do is you stack complementary skills beneath it. Kind of like Skyrim, you know how when you made your character, you got to pick sneak and speech and sword and all that stuff? You want to make a stack for your main skill that complements each other to make you more and more valuable. You see, being in the top 1% of skills, pretty freaking hard. It takes like 10 to 15 years. Being in the top 10% of skills, while also being in the top, say, 20 to 30% of 5 to 6 complementary skills, not that bad. It takes like 2 to 3 years. But the thing is, they're both equally valuable in the marketplace. Arguably, the second one is actually more valuable. But the most important part of this strategy is it lets you play the long game. You just get to sit back and immediately monetize the skill that you're working at whatever skill level you're at. So if you want to learn sales, then just start at the entry level of sales. Start watching YouTube videos. See what the best guy at your workplace does, and then copy him and do more of it. And just keep getting in the reps. And this is something that I love, by the way, about my boy and neighbor, Hormozi, is the emphasis on reps. The path towards becoming wealthy is a lot of repetition. He calls it volume. So just doing a lot of the skill is the key. And so if you can make that into a habit, this approach lets you immediately monetize it, unlike a business. So what you're doing with side hustles is you just keep starting all these different little things and you take like 3 steps forward and you never get anywhere. This approach lets you just go and shoot to the top and get done. And so what this does is it actually introduces levels into your life where you start out and maybe when you first start, you immediately hit your survival number and enough to be happy in your thrive. So you're happy while you survive. You have now achieved happiness, which allows you to play the long game and inspires you to make more as you move towards that plan we just worked through to making enough to do it. What does that look like? Well, the better you get at that skill, the more likely you are to get a cushy job where you could work remotely, get paid a lot more. You can become a consultant by packaging your skill set and selling the most valuable thing you do to other people. You can productize what you do and start a business and sell what you've learned to other people. You can systematize it and sell it to companies to adopt your practices that you've learned. You can train teams and companies on the skill that you've mastered. Or you can even just use your skill set, depending on what it is, for yourself. For example, if you're an advertiser and you know how to get leads for cheap, you can go get cheap leads and sell someone else's product to them. So what you're trying to do is optimize your life to build a skill set that's hyper specific and valuable by burning off the dead wood, using those repetitions as quickly as you can, because what you get on the other side is a philosopher's stone that allows you to work a few hours and make tons of money. So you have more money and more time freedom. And if you ever want to just make more money, you can just go get more hours for your skill set that's worth a lot more. Now, if you're a complete psychopath like me, you might also want to try out the side quest, which is building a business. If you're going to go this path, you should be doing this after you have already built your philosopher's stone, and you should continue to work a job while you do it. This should be something you do on the side. A true side hustle is the thing that you actually are good at, not some completely random skill like, I'm going to learn how to do crypto, I'm going to be an affiliate marketer, and you're a cook. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, if you're a cook, make your side hustle a cooking school, because you know how to cook. And it's extremely important to understand that building a business requires a huge amount of upfront time. You are going to be spending a minimum of 4 hours a day just working on your business, and then another 4 hours letting people know about your business. It is most likely going to require some upfront capital, and it's extremely risky, meaning there's a good chance that you will not just not make money, you will lose money. However, the payoff is if you do build your own business, you do kind of get to set your own income. You can go and make as much money as you'd like to make. So that is one of the benefits. And you can build it around your passions, assuming that the market wants what you have to offer. So those are some of the benefits of building a business, but by no means is that required at all to live your dream life. Which leads us to this last principle, which is this. As a hypnotist, I have been recommending the fun way for over 10 years, and here's why. The thing is each and every one of these people's dreams make them happy. The reason that they do what they do is because they enjoy what it is they're doing. So if you're not motivated by status, like Alex Hormozi, spending 100 hours a day for the next 15 years to make a $100 million business probably isn't for you. Vice versa, you might be more motivated by tranquility and family, in which case building a life based on Alex Hormozi actually makes you way less likely to have that. And that's what makes this process so effective. By doing these 3-month plans that are based on self-reflection to figure out what you truly want and what really makes you happy and what you'll enjoy doing, you develop a system of self-knowledge. You create a plan, you do it, you learn from the plan what you actually liked and didn't like, and then you just repeat the whole process again. And interestingly, that process that I just described is how you end up getting to a life like this anyway. So if you're always reiterating, you learn more and more about what you love, you get more and more motivated, you're happy to do it, you're gonna naturally get bored of where you're at because you get better. So you increase the difficulty. You know, if me and Alex Hormozi went into the gym together and I wanted to do his 100-rep exercise and 7 different or whatever, I would literally die. He can do that because he's built that up over 5 years. However, I can go to the gym and lift some heavy weights and have it be easy and fun. And eventually I'll get bored of the weight that I'm at and increase it. And if I just do that over a long enough period of time, I will start to actually get results that puts me in a trend that's closer to being able to survive Hormozi's workout. That being said, I probably would still die. So when you choose the fun way, you work longer, you work harder, and you enjoy the work that you're doing. And that's why the fun way is the best way. If practical advice like this is what you're looking for so that you can immediately upgrade the quality of your life, join the Wizard's Words newsletter. This is a completely free newsletter where I will deliver exact tactical advice to increase the quality of your life, reframe limiting beliefs, and ask questions that can create profound transformation for you, all in 3 minutes or less. If that's interesting to you, click the link in the description. All right, I gotta go. I was dumb enough to choose business side quest.